Good morning, everybody. Joshua Galloway with New Ecology. We are a 25-year-old nonprofit focused on bringing the benefits of sustainability to underserved communities and are very excited to speak with you today. Next, please. So this is a simple question, right? You just take out your furnace and you install a heat pump and you're done, right? Next slide. The answer is no. The reason is when you take out a furnace and you replace a heat pump, you're ignoring all of the other parts of the building and how the building works and how the residents experience that home. And so we really want to emphasize that if you're going to electrify and decarbonize, you really need to work on making the building more energy efficient and comfortable as part of the electrification process. And that's what we're going to speak briefly about today. Next, please. Electrification is in many ways as simple as this of just replacing systems that use fossil fuels. This is an example of a community in Delaware we worked on that we replaced furnaces with heat pumps as part of a electrification process, improved windows, insulation, air sealing within the buildings, and so increased the resident comfort and efficiency as part of that electrification process. We did not replace the gas water heaters as part of that process because there wasn't enough capacity within the electric panels. And so electrification is not an all or nothing experience that's set up for the next time systems are replaced to increase electric capacity. And so there's every community, it's going to be a little different about how the approach fits in. Next, please. We've been doing this work with the National Housing Trust, and I say this work and its Inflation Reduction Act endeavors, including a boot camp that we're doing with the National Housing Trust and others. And what we've learned during this process and working with CDCs around the country is that it's important to think about all the pieces. And so number one, when you are going after an electrification or a decarbonization scope, is to reduce your load, reduce the amount of energy needed to heat and cool the buildings. Number two, think about resident comfort. Definitely have to make sure that resident comfort, energy efficiency are parts of the puzzle. Indoor air quality is also important. That's one of the main reasons to remove combustion appliances from a building is to improve indoor air quality. Also have to think about ventilation. And then systems replacement, that's the easier piece in some ways, followed by renewables. And so when we think about electrification and decarbonization, we're reducing energy required to run the buildings. We're taking into account resident comfort, indoor air quality, system replacement, and renewables. And each property will approach this in a slightly different way, but we have to keep these principles in mind each time we go after this effort. Next, please. Load reduction is important enough that I'm going to talk about it again. And the idea is that when you make your lighting more efficient and appliances more efficient, reduce the amount of hot water that the buildings use, improve the air sealing to reduce drafts, and add insulation to improve thermal comfort, you're freeing up electrical capacity in the building and reducing utility costs. And so these are all kind of common sense measures to do as part of electrification. And the great news is the Inflation Reduction Act has funds to help cover the cost for doing these measures. Next, please. Resident comfort is important, and my colleague Rebecca found this excellent slide to share how we think about comfort. We want buildings to be energy efficient, but not at the cost of resident comfort. And so if a resident is not comfortable, then our work has not been successful. This, of course, depends on different properties, different populations, and whereas seniors in a building might require a higher temperature, families might require a different temperature. We think about all these things as we talk about replacing systems and improving building envelopes. And the goal here is to find the best solution for each property. So it's not a matter of one size fits all, and it's a matter of working with your team, including property management and property maintenance, to define what are the best systems to replace in the buildings, knowing that they will be the ones taking care of the buildings. Next, please. Indoor air quality is one of these nebulous things that it's not something you can see or hold, but it's something that affects us every day. And so the image on the left controlling the source, the downspout from the gutters dumps right at the corner of the building. And the result is inside the crawl space has mildew. And so indoor air quality is very poor in that space because of something that's happening outside the building. And so taking care of the outside of the building, making sure the ground slips away and drainage is taken away from the building is a priority. Ventilation, the middle image shows an energy recovery ventilator that brings in outdoor air, conditions it, distributes it throughout the building where residents are. And so you get good ventilation. And then the last piece, removing combustion. And so a colleague of mine just replaced their gas range with an electric range and was able to actually test the air when they were cooking and found a great reduction in volatile organic compounds and uncombusted natural gas. And so the point with all of this is we need to think about how all of the actions that we're doing affect the end result, which is providing good indoor air quality for residents. Next. Resilience is one of the most recent additions to the kind of language of sustainability. And when you break it down, it's really the ability to adapt to change. We see resiliency hubs, which are community rooms that can be supplied with backup power, refrigerator, charging outlets, basically a place where residents can come and charge their phones, store their medicine. Another piece in resilience is emergency preparedness plan and training. And so this is not a physical thing, but something that is developed and communicated with residents and staff. And then the more obvious pieces of flood protection and cooling centers also helped address the issues that we see in the Mid-Atlantic specifically as flooding and extreme heat.